the pack.
Yes, guys, how we doing? Bloody hell, it's been a while, innit? Well, if you watched our most recent video, I told you essentially why we haven't been updating much on YouTube. It's basically been because I haven't been around very often, and the other lads have been really busy as well. It's just been one of them. But we're all back now. We're going to be covering a bunch of things today. We've got obviously Dan Cottingham and John is going to join us a little bit later as well. I don't know where Kyle's gone. Hope he's okay. Maybe he'll join us as well at some point. But yeah, get involved in the comments, guys. You're flooding in. I can see all your numbers cooking. It's great. Hopefully I'm not too rusty. Do you know what I mean? Need a bit of a underneath the old joints because I feel a little bit rusty. But hey, you know what? Like and subscribe to the channel, guys. If you're over on our social media, you know, give us a like, give us a follow as well. Share it with your friends. We're all about Wolves, of course. We're going to talk all about all the games that we haven't talked about. You know, we're going to go over them briefly because there's been a bloody few games that we've missed. Let's face it. But yeah, get your comments in, and I'll bring them up as I can. Who we got already? We got Scott. How you doing, Scott? He says, yo, what's going on? Jamie, how you doing, man? We got Neil. We got all the lads in. Fair play. Love it, love it, love it. I know there was a couple of lads earlier as well saying how much they've missed the channel and all the really nice things. And I did see all that. I had to restart the stream, so I haven't been able to put those back up. But I really appreciate all of your really nice feedback and everything. It really, really helps. Cool. We're gonna get Dan C in. So you got 2 Dans for the price of 1. And I was free anyway. So that's a bargain. And there's 69 people watching as well. So what a time for you to join, Dan.
69p. Look at that.
You know what I mean?
Lovely. Yeah, I know, yeah.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
That's the magic number.
Well, yeah. How you doing anyway? You good? Even though we've just been talking. Should we just pretend that we just met?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been so long. I was clean shaven on the last one, if you remember. I've just been waiting here.
I had a nice trim, man. I actually went to a barber's and actually like walked in as a hobo and walked out as a nicer looking hobo. Do you know what I mean? Like a slight upgrade.
Yeah.
On regular hobo. They'd be all day with you, wouldn't they? They'd have to cancel all their appointments.
Whenever I walk past the barbers, they're like this.
You know what I mean? They must be thinking, bloody hell, you'd need all day, man. You'd need like 3 blokes around you trying to just get your beard alone, wouldn't they? Holding you down like.
What are we talking about again? Sorry, yes, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Wolves.
Johnny Boy's here as well. Let's get John in. I'll wait for him to be quite ready. No timeouts. How good is that? No timeouts here, son. You talk as much as you want about whatever you want. Do you know what I mean? We are completely open to any opinion, no matter how actual mad it may seem to most. You know what?
That's why I'm here.
The best thing about football is opinions. Opinions really genuinely are what keeps us going. We all have opinions. They might be good ones, they might be bad ones, there might be ones that everyone shares, or they might be ones that are so rare that no one has the same opinion. But whatever they are, they're just as important, because at the end of the day, that's why we're here. We're here to talk about football. And if you've got all the same opinions, it'd be a very boring show if I was just going, yeah, so you're thinking the same. Yeah, you're thinking the same. Yeah, we're all thinking the same. Amazing. So that's it. And then we just sign off. Do you know what I mean? So please get all your opinions in, man. You know what I mean? And yes, exactly that, Jamie. We finally won a match. I'm just as shocked as you are, to be honest. That is just an absolute shock. Evening Dan says, Carl. What's up, Carl? You good, mate? Well done for being here. What a legend. Nearly 100 people already. Fantastic. Let's get John in as well. Hopefully he's ready now. He's decent. There he is.
There he is.
I was just trying to set up my microphone. Well, my AirPods.
Nah, you're all good, man. You're all good. You know what, lads? It's good to see you, man. It really is good to see you. I have genuinely missed this. So I'm really glad to be back. And we've got a shitload to talk about, let's be honest. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot of games that we've not talked about. We've not even talked about the fact that, the recent form of Wolves, the fact that we've only just got a win, the fact that we've only just got a clean sheet. There's all these factors that we have not spoken about, and we're going to do that now. So, guys, let me know in the comments right now. This is going to be a thing that goes throughout the entire podcast today, okay? Let me know, are you Gary O'Neill in or out? Let me know now, right now. Comment it now, and I want to get as many as possible as people's opinions, because let's face it, it's the one thing that everyone has a different sort of answer to, and that's absolutely fine. Just to let you know as well, there is a bug at the moment on StreamYard that says that we can't see your names on Facebook, so you will literally just come up as Facebook user. So can you, if you're posting on Facebook, also say your name after your comment? So we know what your name is, because I don't really want to call you all Facebook user.
Just make some names up. I'm good at making names up.
Unless your name is Facebook user, then I feel bad for you. It's a bit awkward. Right, sound. You know what? It doesn't look like we're going to get Kai today. I hope he's okay. If you're watching this in the future, Kai, we hope you're all good, my friend. And we're just going to carry on. We're going to get straight into it. There's a load to talk about. So let's go over the games that we haven't spoke about. And then we're going to go over the general sort of feeling towards Wolves and how we feel about the season so far. So let's go over the games. So as you can see here, there is a sea of red.
Oh, lovely.
The last game we spoke about, my guys, was Liverpool. So we spoke about Newcastle, Brighton, Villa, and Liverpool all in the last one. Okay. And that meant that we said, I've just looked that we were going to win Brentford. We were going to win Brentford, guys. That's what we were going to do. All right. That was what we were all convinced about. And I think you can probably see, if you're looking on YouTube, if for the people that are just listening on Spotify, we didn't win Brentford. We didn't draw to Brentford. We got absolutely annihilated by Brentford, 5-3. I watched the watch along when Kyle was watching it, and I was just shocked, to be honest. First of all, I'm going to come to you, John. Brentford, sum it up for me, if you can.
It's another game where we can actually, as a team, score many goals, but our main problem is defence. If we look at where we are in the table at the moment, we are scoring goals. I think we're maybe joint 6th or 7th for the most goals scored in the whole league. But this shows that it doesn't matter if you score goals. If you've got a leaky defence and you're letting 5 in against Brentford, you're going to have massive problems, and that's where we sit, where we are in the table. It was just another horror show of defensive errors. If I remember rightly, Brentford got the first goal very early. I think
2 minutes. Collins.
2 minutes. Yeah, I'm just trying to look now because it's actually really small on my screen. But yeah, it was just defensively horrible. I remember the goals and stuff were fantastic, but defensively we were terrible. And I think it was the real turning point when Gary was really considering going back to a back 5. The back 4 was where for me as a fan, I remember watching this game thinking we have to think about changing that back 4 because it isn't working. Especially at the time there, like you've got like Nori that would be wandering off a little bit, and then obviously leaving the 2 centre backs vulnerable. It was a horrible game. It was one of those games where you just wanted to turn off your TV and not talk about or watch football for days and days after, because it was a real sickening game. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
So Dancy, quickly, just Brentford game, what we're thinking.
I'd forgotten about this. Thanks for reminding me. I've just seen that the attendance is 16,000 watchers get beaten by Brentford. I I remember I was a bit late to this match, and they'd already scored by the time I got. Actually, I think the first 2 goals had already been scored by the time I got in to watch it.
Yeah.
And that was only 5 minutes in. So it was awful. Yeah, I would say it's one of the hardest watches of the season, easily, because we that was our cup final, wasn't it? You said that was our cup final.
It was the game that, if you remember rightly, just before this game, we said that this is the game that it's time for to see if the proof's in the pudding. Like, we've made the excuse over and over again. The teams that we've been playing are the ones that have been getting all the points, and the big boys, the big top dogs. We've been really hard done by, and then we got Brentford. Yes, okay, they were doing fairly well, and they were always scoring early. Before this, they scored in so many different games. I can't even remember how many in the first few minutes of the game. And if I'm a manager, that's what I'm telling my guys. Do not, by any circumstances, do not concede early. Do everything you possibly can. And if you watched the first few minutes of this game, we were panic stations from the first whistle. We were panic stations, like we knew the inevitable was coming. That is losing mentality 101. If you can see from the first whistle, the attitude and everything on the players, then that is a really bad way to be. And that's what I saw instantly in this game. Now, Cunha obviously scored slightly after this, after the 4th minute, and you're thinking, okay, fair enough, if we can hold this now, maybe, put them to the sword a bit, score again. They get a penalty, which was a penalty. Bueno puts it away. It's then 2-1. And you're thinking, oh, God, here we go. We scored again. And this is what John was trying to allude to. Wolves aren't a team that can't score goals. Under Bruno Lage, after a certain point, we couldn't score goals. We couldn't create goals. Goals weren't coming at all. In fact, people were saying can't score instead of Castor on our bloody strip. Do you know what I mean? It was an absolute shocker. It was a shocker. But we are scoring goals. Now, the problem is at the moment is we're letting goals in for fun. And this game was an absolute testament to Gary O'Neill, stubborn manager who could not, for the life of him, determine that we are a team that cannot play in a back 4. We have tried countless amounts of times to play in a back 4, and it doesn't work. Okay? The only time it's ever going to work to play in a back 4 is if we have different personnel on the pitch. They are used to playing in a back 5. The players in general, if you look at where they played before they joined the bloody club, they were all in the same system that Nuno put them in when we were originally in that back 5. And if it wasn't Nuno and we went into a different one, they still all of a sudden always got sucked into this back 5 notion every time, and it didn't matter. And the fact that Gary could not see that until it was too late really screams to me that he was in this game. I don't get how he stayed in the job. I don't get it. This was the one for me. I even said it when it happened. This was the one. If you're going to get beat, don't get embarrassed. And we were embarrassed. That scoreline flatters us, I think. We could have been annihilated by Brentford in this game. We were open for season the whole game, and it was embarrassing. So,
moving on.
Moving on swiftly.
Moving on.
And let's never ever talk of it ever again.
Never again.
Let's go to Man City at home. So, you know what? I'll go to John straight away for Man City at home. There were some positives in this game, John, after that defeat to Brentford, but it was still more of the same, wasn't it?
Definitely, I was there at the Molineux. It was definitely a game where we looked completely different. We looked like there was a bit more structure in defence. We had a bit more energy. I thought Lawson's first goal was great. I thought the way he was bringing his arms up to the fans, getting the Molyneux rocking. I thought, this is it. We're actually going to get something from this game. And we did do well for a very long time. And then eventually their fullback scored. Great goal. I don't think you can even blame the goalkeeper because it was an unbelievable worldie of a goal. And then obviously we've got the controversial goal right at the end. Was he in front of the goalkeeper? Was he tall enough? Is he too small? Did he block his view? But obviously we saw a similar goal chalked out for us last season against West Ham. So it should be one rule for one rule for the other. But in general, I thought we played pretty well. I know some of my friends that are neutral, they don't really like Wolves, but they don't really hate Wolves. They watched the game and they said after, they thought we actually played all right. We were better than we were in previous games. Defensively, we looked better. I think this was the first game where we really went back to more of a back five kind of formation, or back five when actually the opposition was attacking. So yeah, I thought it was a good game personally. I didn't leave the stadium thinking that we played badly. I did think that we'd been a little bit hard done by the decision. But that's obviously another story. But yeah, I thought we did right.
Yeah, all right. I think you're right. You know, we went to a back five in this game. You know, I feel like if we didn't, you know, Wolverhampton would be asking for O'Neill's head on a pike, because we screaming for it after the Brentford game. We're playing City. We probably would have played as a back five anyway. Against City, just because of how dominant they are in attack. But yeah, what did you think, Dan, about this game? Obviously, Strand Larsen scored quite early on, didn't he, in this one as well? So it was more of the same, us not being able to keep a lead, basically, wasn't it?
I think just on Strand Larsen, I think he's playing for the shirt, and I think he's fantastic. He's always trying to get the crowd up. He buys into us, which I like. Good. I thought we were going to get absolutely obliterated in this game. I thought it was going to be a cricket score. I thought it was going to be 16-0. But you know what? We did all right, I think. I think we held them off really well. The first goal was amazing. There was no stopping that. That could have been. But the controversy of the last one, it's just, if that's not a foul, then what was our goal chalked off? But coming to Southampton a bit later on, you know, it swings and roundabouts, I suppose. But we obviously get the raw end of the stick more than any other team, don't we? So statistically as well, not just anecdotally. But yeah, I was actually quite pleased with the result. It was all right for me.
I think it showed that the team works better as a five if you're gonna, you know, stifle teams and make it more awkward for them and sort of settle them into making, you know, taking shots from a distance. And we already know that shots from a distance haven't been our forte really in terms of as a goalkeeping standpoint. But you know what, it's like John said, that strike you don't save. It was a fantastic goal by Guardiola. And then the only problem was, I think a 1-1 would have been, you know, really good for Wolves in this game. I still think that, you know, City are City. They will punish you. And we were genuinely under the cosh most of the game, to be honest. But I think we held really strong, and them scoring the you know, right at the end, man. It's always a bit of a killer blow. But I think this really hurt Wolves because getting a point against Man City after being so obliterated by Brentford would have actually been quite a good point and a nice stand, something to go on. And the fact we lost this game, it really, it still showed that losing mentality, didn't it, that Lamina spoke of shortly after this game. And it's a goal you shouldn't concede. You know, you throw absolutely everyone at that goal, at that ball, as much as you possibly can. But it is one of those things, like, I personally don't think either of them should. I actually think both of them should count. Sorry. So you know, the one against a West Ham that didn't count. I personally think that should have counted, and I do actually think that the Stones goal should count as well. It's just the fact that it's so it's so whatever on the day. We'll decide on the day. There's no actual ground rules for the things that they decide, and the decisions that they make. They're huge decisions. This was like right at the end of the game. Like, if you're not sure and it could go either way, don't include it. And it's just the fact that it was City just made it just a little bit more sour, because they just tend to get the more sort of the more decisions, don't they? The top six, and obviously Gary said that and got in trouble on this game as well, and that was just dumb, really stupid.
And Matt Hobbs as well, didn't he get in trouble in this one as well?
He did, yeah. So that was City. We still obviously haven't won at this point. Still not looking good for Gary O'Neill. But you know what? We took City we probably would lose that game anyway, and the fact that we didn't lose by a great deal meant that, you know, going into Brighton away, you know, a point from this game actually wouldn't have actually been a bad result, would it? But I think, John, I'm going to come to you about Brighton. Another game in which Wolves showed some fight for their manager, showed some character. You know, was losing this game, you know, from until the 85th minute 2-0. And obviously to come back and actually get a draw from this was a big thing, wasn't it, John?
I'm going to be completely honest. I was at my friend's wedding, so I didn't actually see the game live. But I did watch it on Match of the Day and watched it on highlights, and spoke to people that were at the game. And it obviously you saw people even tweeting saying at 2-0, 80th minute, how the team look knackered, they've got no fight, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they turn it around, and you can just see that they are still playing at this point for the manager. They hadn't given up. There's still a fire inside them, and they keep on going, and they work as a team, and they were able to do it in the final minutes. And it was a hell of a strike in the end from Cunha, that last one. He could have obviously maybe passed it to a player, but he knew what he wanted to do. There's quite a few bodies there. He knew if he get it through, the goalkeeper wouldn't see it in time, and was able to put that in the corner. Similar before to Ignori, where he was in the right place at the right time and just booted it. There's only so many yards out, but it was enough to get us back in the game. So yeah, it just shows that it's not over till it's over, and they're still playing for their team. They're still playing for the manager. They're still playing for the fans, and there'd be a lot of away fans there that came away, I would assume, from travelling a real far way down Brighton, coming away with a point, and very happy.
Yeah, and come to you now, Dan. Can you talk me through Tommy Doyle against 4 Brighton attackers?
I mean, it was 6. It was 6 technically. There was 6 Brighton players in front of the Wolves players.
Yeah, but can you talk me through what happened there?
Well, I don't know what happened, Dan. To be honest,
so
because that was dramatic. That was drama. I do know what happened. So Tommy Doyle had no right to get that ball at all. Absolutely no right. The one place the Brighton player, who's now I don't know, the one place he couldn't pass it was towards Tommy Doyle, and he did. So
was it Ferguson that was it?
No,
Ferguson?
I don't think it was. But whatever. But the
carry on anyway.
And then the pass to Cunha was just absolutely beautiful, wasn't it? You know, it was just what Doyle does: wins the ball, pings it forward. I think he was absolutely cracking. And I don't know how he got that ball. I don't know what happened, but he was in the right place and he got it. And
to be honest, I think it showed a lot of determination. Yeah,
it showed a bit, so that's really good.
Yeah, it showed a lot of determination.
Oh, we're going back.
It's all right. It showed a lot of determination, didn't it? Because at the end of the day, that last season that would have been a goal, and I just think that Doyle really thought, you're right. I'm not going to go to ground. I'm not going to keep backpedaling like Max Kilman did thousands of times last season. He stuck his ground. Right, I'm going to intercept the pass. He's going to make the pass because it's an easier solution than trying to get through me. You know, I've made myself look big. He gets the ball, but he doesn't just get the ball. He puts it under his control, plays it around one of the Brighton attackers, then looks up, picks up the pass for Cunha. Cunha's really good as well. This is 90 minutes plus 3. He scored this goal. So he must have been absolutely knackered. So the fact that he ran pretty much, half of the pitch and then found it in him to hit the ball hard enough to go through the Brighton players and the goalkeeper, it showed a lot of character, that goal. And it genuinely probably saved Gary O'Neill's job, if I'm honest. I think he would have gone had we lost this game. Because Brighton didn't... I remember watching this game and I didn't actually think there was much between the two teams. I just thought Brighton knew how to defend. And that's how they managed to stay ahead so long, because they knew how to defend. They knew how to stay in shape. They knew what the manager was asking of them, and we didn't. And at the end, the players just did their own thing, and that's how we scored both goals. This wasn't about Gary O'Neill for me. This was about the players in general. And yeah, you know what? Fair play. So yeah, that's the Brighton game. We get a point. That wasn't bad. It was a point earned for sure. So that was good. Let's talk about the next game. And that was Palace at home. So at the start of this game, Palace haven't been great. But Wolves obviously haven't been great either. It was very much a game where I couldn't decide who was going to actually get 3 points from this game. So a draw probably would have made sense in hindsight. But the game itself was balmy. It was absolutely just ridiculous. It was just absolutely stupid. It was like watching Bielsa's Leeds, but both of them were Bielsa's Leeds. And it was just like, no one can defend, so just try and attack. And whatever person decides to keep the ball long enough will score more. And it was just ridiculous. John, I'll come to you. Was you at Molineux for this one, or was you on holiday? I can't remember.
I was at Molineux for this one.
Cool.
For me, it was a massive opportunity to get 3 points. I thought Palace were at the taking. I thought they were missing some really key players. And I didn't think they'd played well all season. And I thought, yeah, this is definitely the time we're going to get our first win. And obviously, I think what let us down again was the Wolves' defence. I didn't think our midfield was that bad. I thought, especially when Lamina came on as a sub, I thought we looked really good. I think our attack was really good. But again, really sloppy mistakes in defence. For Chalobah's goal, who was marking him? No one was marking him, leaving him at the back post. He had enough time to do whatever he wanted with it. He just blasted it into the corner. A Premier League team should not be allowing someone like that to be waiting on the back post like that with all that space to score that goal. And it just made me wonder, what the hell are they being taught in training? Because surely you have to. Each player would mark someone. Who was marking him? Who left him? And that really, after that game, I was really questioning Gary O'Neill.
Yeah,
because definitely. I was just questioning, how can this defence be so bad? And yeah, because it was really disappointing, and I feel like we should have come away with more. I felt really bad for the attackers, because they were playing so well, they're getting the goals, and then they're constantly getting let down by the other side of the pitch. Our defence just not doing their job properly. So yeah, so it was another game where we just weren't good enough.
Yeah, so I'll come to you, Dan. Obviously, this was a different style of point, wasn't it? I think the Brighton point was a point earned. This was 2 points lost, wasn't it?
I think so. I mean, Gomez turned up for this game. Gomez was absolutely amazing in this game. He was everywhere. He was phenomenal. He was playing with passion. That Mateta for Crystal Palace, he's not human, I don't think. He's just... Yeah. I saw him run on goal, and you've got Gomez coming in, Dawson, Bueno, and he's just running through them all. He's just We need someone like that. He's just unbelievable.
Like a Dama, but like
but like with finishing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Guedes, he's enjoying his football. He seems to be. He did a bit of diving, which I didn't really like really badly diving. He got booked for diving, I think, didn't he? It was terrible. But you know what? He's got an assist on the board, which is really nice. It was a tough game to watch, but it was fun. It was bonkers. And the set pieces.
It was a great game for the neutrals. Like it was a great game. It really was. But for a Wolves fan, it's just more frustration because we get ahead and it's 2-1, and you're thinking, just keep it tight now, lads. Just keep it tight. Just keep it together. And I just that last goal for me is such a sucker punch, and it's another one of those. And it reminded me of the City. It reminded me of that City winner. You could just see the players deflate again, and
it's that mentality. They haven't got it. They've forgotten how to win, haven't they? They've forgotten how to do it.
They completely forgot how to win. And it's like John said, I'm going to actually echo John there, because the attackers have been phenomenal this season. They have. They've shown such good character. The midfield's been on and off and on and off. The defense has been absolutely shocking, other than the Southampton game. That's been the only game where I thought, you know what, the defenders actually showed up and did their job. But Gary O'Neill in this one, the fans are absolutely calling. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. He brings on Lamina for Doyle, which in hindsight seems like such an obvious substitute, doesn't it? But I think it was the fact that Doyle played so well in the last game, and he's got a good pass on him, and you think Lamina's more sort of robust. And in that moment, was he someone we thought would be as good as he was? I don't think he's personally all fit, to be honest. He doesn't look quite fit enough at the moment.
He's not himself.
But I tell you what, in this game, he was the change. It was the change that was needed in the midfield. Gave us a little bit more. Just gave us a little bit more emphasis in that middle part, in the middle of the pitch, and that's pretty much what gave us Joe Gomez's second goal. And then the problem was, as it always has been all season, Wolves cannot hold a win. They can't hold when they go for when they're actually winning a game. They can't hold together. They seem to just delay the inevitable. And we're going to talk about Southampton, and obviously everyone's going, well, we won against Southampton, so what? Even that game, which we'll talk about in a minute, of course, but even that game, if we didn't score in that first half, that was dreadful. That first half performance was absolutely dreadful. And that still goes on, for me, Gary O'Neill, because the players don't look fit, and even though apparently they're all training really well, he said. You know what I mean? And that comes down to the manager, and it also comes down to the manager on what personnel to choose. And I don't think, personally, our midfield looked good from literally 2 minutes in, we scored, but from the rest of that game, for the first half, the midfield was non-existent. While we're talking about it, we may as well bring it up. So, Wolves, Southampton. Wolves eventually get a win, and it's an amazing day for all. It made my weekend, let's be honest. 2-0 against Southampton. Took my nephew. I was back to it. We did a preview, John. We did a review yesterday. Do you know what I mean? It was more of what we want, more of what we expect. But talk me through this game. I know I've just kind of spoke about the first half, but I do feel like that bears repeating, to be fair, John.
First thing I will say is I was in the pub with a few of my mates before the game, as you do, and they were really slagging off the lineup, as people all over Twitter were, because Sarabia was starting. And I said, he'll probably do all right, or he'll get a goal now, and that will shut everyone up. And even though I don't think he had the best game, and obviously he came off, he did get a really good goal in the first couple of minutes. And it's not like we're a team that's scoring like little tap-ins. We're actually scoring really intelligent goals. You could see the ball from Cunha. If you look, and I know Match of the Day are talking about it a lot over the last few weeks, but Cunha is the difference. That ball that was put through was unbelievable. And Sarabia had the confidence not to hit it first time, take a touch, go round, kick it in. And it was a really intelligent goal. And that's the reason why we've got nearly the same goals as Nottingham Forest, Fulham. I think we're one goal away from how many goals Arsenal scored. That's how well we're doing this season for scoring goals. And they aren't, a lot of them aren't tap-ins. They're really good goals and intelligent. And that's why if we really tighten up defensively, we can change the season. But I've got to say, this game against Southampton was the best game I've seen so far this season for defence. I thought Dawson was incredible. I thought he was so strong. I thought he was aggressive, maybe slightly too aggressive at times. And I know Palace fans were a little bit upset about a few of his antics just before some goals, but I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was shouting at everyone around him, making sure they're in the correct positions. He's really becoming a leader at the back there and really controlling everyone around him. And I thought Santi had a lot of stick a few months ago, apparently close to being loaned out if we were going to bring in a centre-back. So they didn't think much of him. And he's come in now and he's just getting better and better with every game. He looks like a really good partnership next to Dawson. I know obviously we're also playing Totti, but I think if we ever did play a back four, for me, it'd be them two. I think they work really well together.
Definitely.
I think Totti's improving as well. I think he can be a little bit erratic, but I think the last few games he's been really good. And I think sometimes he can overplay stuff, and you can see that's changed in his game now. He'll just run and header it or kick it as far out as he can. Whereas before,
I think Dawson's told him basically just to do the easy things instead of trying to outplay someone who's next to you. Just literally just put it into Rose's head sort of thing.
The kind of player that will want to try and dribble out with it, and then you'd lose it, and that's where the problem would be. But now, as you say, you just do the simple thing, boot it up the pitch. I can't knock the defence. I thought they were great. I thought the midfield was great. And what a goal from Cunha. Unbelievable goal. For me, it's probably the best goal of the season so far for us. I think the technique, how he hit it, I just thought it was great. I just thought it was a great game. I remember leaving it thinking, we didn't play the best first half. But I did feel that Southampton really didn't get the chances. I didn't think that that Jose Sarr got tested that much.
He didn't get tested once.
He didn't get tested once. I don't think there was one on target. So, you know what I mean? I know fans are kicking off saying it was not the best game, but at the end of the day, I think it was meant to be like that. I think the team were told by the manager that allow Southampton to have the ball. They can come to us. Because they've probably not got the talent to really affect us, and what we'll do, we'll win it back and we'll score like we did for the first goal. So I think it was meant to be like that, and I think in the end we got a clean sheet, we got 3 points, we got 2 goals, and one of them was a worldie, and that's all we needed now to hopefully kickstart our season. Yeah,
fair enough. Dan, do you want to say your opinion on the game, on our first win?
Yes, I've got notes. You ready for this? So I was one of the people that John talked about a few minutes for Abbey being the lineup because he was shocking against Crystal Palace. Kept losing the ball, not running, negative passing, just all over the place. And when he scored the goal, I was like, okay, I'm neutral on him now. That's okay. Good. Well done. And then he just went back to how he was in the other game. He's all over the place. He's letting Semedo get double teamed on this side. He's losing the ball. He was let down for me. I think we made them look good in the first half. Played really badly. Cunha just amazing, brilliant, absolutely cracking. The back three, especially Totti, I've noted here that how good Totti let nothing come down that side at all. He was an absolute beast. They just they were hard tackling, uncompromising. You know what? The dark arts, we've how many times we've been had by it in the last seasons, you know, the VAR, the fouls. The referee was right in front of both those fouls for that goal. Didn't say anything.
Mate,
what can we say?
Yeah.
It was quite funny. It was quite funny watching the Southampton manager, because he was never happy, was he? That was quite funny.
Oh God, no.
The second half, we just pressed them, and they didn't like it. And Ramsdale was rattled, which was funny, because the Southampton were giving him stick, which I thought was great. He was passing the ball all over the place. It was terrible. I just think it was a really good atmosphere. It was great to get a win, and we can play badly and get a win. So why can't we play well and get a win? Hopefully, bigger, better things next time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I obviously did a review of this game yesterday. It was when I could actually get into the studio to do the review. I just want to go over something that I talked about in that review. And that was something that John sort of alluded to, which was the fact that we let them have the ball for so long. Now, I understand what John's saying. It was probably definitely something that they'd been working on, letting a team have the ball. They're definitely a possession-based team. You can see that from the statistics here. But the problem is, if you're versing someone that's going to keep the ball, you can't let them progress as much as they did. That's the problem I have. It's not just, for me, them playing around in their own half and we're in control and we win the ball up high and we score. We did that in the second minute, and then we didn't do it again literally until the second half. They even had the ball in the net. And I personally think it should have counted, by the way. I thought it was way too soft. You know, Semedo knows exactly what he's doing, and it's quite a clever play by Semedo to get in front of the defender, the attacker. But I just don't think there's enough there. Without VAR, I think that's a goal 100%. And I felt pretty aggrieved. I would have felt pretty aggrieved had I been a Palace fan and whatever. And the difference is with Wolves fans, and I don't know if I've got a different opinion about this, but I think all Wolves fans are fairly they're fairly honest when it comes to things like this. I feel like if this had been the other way around, we'd have all been screaming for it. We'd all scream bloody murder about VAR as well. So we have to be the same when it's the opposition as well. Otherwise, VAR's here to stay. If you're going to constantly say, just because it's happening for your team, well, swings and roundabouts, it's going to, come back. No. If it's a bad decision and it's a poor decision, then it's a poor decision. That's all there is to it.
You quote me then, Dan.
I actually think as well that Southampton probably deserved to go in about 1-1. In my opinion, I think they passed the ball much better. They were in our box a lot, to be fair. I know that they didn't have any shots on target, and that comes down to our defense being, pretty good. But the problem was we lost the ball too much. And we didn't do the most basic things correct, which is when you get the ball, think about what you're going to do. Don't just hastily pass the ball to the next bloke, or pass the ball to somewhere where in an area where you think someone's going to be. You have to be, pragmatic when it comes to these things. And we were anything but pragmatic in that first half. We were absolutely shambolic, to be honest. We go into the second half and things do improve in terms of like winning the ball back. You know what I mean? We went in for these second balls. We looked like we had a little bit more pace. We had a little bit more to us. Sarabia going off a Ballagard didn't really impact the game very much, to be honest. But I think the overall second half performance, to me, was enough for us to deserve the 3 points based on the second half performance. Had we carried on how we were in that first half, I would have thought that we'd have got away with one, to be honest. Now, I actually said this as well, and I'm not coming for air, but I don't want to run out of time. Cunha was our best player by a country mile, like an absolute country mile. But had Cunha not been on the pitch today, or on against Southampton, we don't win that game, in my opinion. First of all, he's there to get the ball further up, to produce, a great pass to Sarabia, who I don't think anyone else does that. I think that's an 8 Nori, he's running all the way to the goalkeeper and losing it. If that's, if that's Strand Larsen, he's probably looking elsewhere to try and pass it. I don't think he's intelligent enough to play that pass, in my opinion. And then you've got his second goal, which, to be honest, I don't know anyone in our team that's able to produce a strike of that quality. So the worry is, if he gets injured, he's a very much irreplaceable player. And I go back to how we all felt about Neto. If Neto didn't play in our team, we didn't score goals. If you look at Cunha at the moment, he's the one bloke that's showing actual intent. I think Strand Larsen's doing a fantastic job as well, to be honest. But I think Cunha helps him as well, if I'm actually honest. So we've really got to keep Cunha fit. And I agree with what Dan said at the start of this, before we started. Cunha, he could go places. He's that good. Genuinely. He could get into quite a few sides. He's a very, very different style of player that a lot of teams would definitely go bananas for. So at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. We got the 3 points. We started moving up the table. Ipswich got that win, which was a bit of a pain in the arse. Let's face it. Let's look at the table at the moment.
Woo!
So we are off the bottom of the table. Southampton are dead bottom. They've got Liverpool next as well. And this is what I was going to try and talk about, by the way, is if you look at who we've got Fulham, right? Okay, that they're doing well at the moment, but it's still a game where we've won in the past. Different personnel perhaps over there now. They've had some good signings, but it's still a winnable game. And then you've got Palace, who have got Villa, who aren't playing very well at the moment. So that'll be an interesting game. Ipswich have got United with a new manager. Everton have got Brentford, who are looking pretty good at the moment. Leicester have got Chelsea, who looked really good at the moment as well. So, it's an opportunity. It's an absolute opportunity now to start to get a little bit of confidence and to start actually getting some points and getting up the table before it's too late. Because if we go into Christmas and we're still dogging around that bottom three, it's going to be a rescue mission with a different manager, isn't it? So, John, I'll come to you. Your thoughts at the moment with Gary O'Neill? Do you want him in, out, shake it all about? What do you want?
I do generally think now, if we're going to pull the trigger, now's the perfect time to do it, because we've got this international break, with the teams on a high win. I don't think he's going to be able to change the outcome of games. I think we have still. I know people are saying that the run of games is a little bit easier, but I do think that we have got some tough games coming up with teams that, maybe they're mid-table or 7th, 8th in the league, but they are winning and they are beating some really good opposition. And I think that we will lose those games. And I think now we pull the trigger and get rid of Gary. And I know it'd be really harsh because we've got this win, and I know a lot of fans and a lot of neutrals will be upset about it. But I do feel now's the time, if we can, to go in and only if there's a suitable replacement. I think they need to get something, hopefully behind the scenes over the last few weeks. They've been talking to people and they've got something lined up. I don't want to be in a similar situation when we sacked Bruno and we didn't have anything lined up and it was a shit show. So we only sack him if they've got someone lined up and someone that is generally going to be better. But then now for me is the time to sack him and then give the manager, I think it's 2 weeks, isn't it, now, to the next game? Just under 2 weeks. And I think I'm surprised that that maybe it hasn't happened already. I thought maybe after the Brentford game. I thought after the Chelsea game he was on thin ice, and then I thought with the Brentford game that would be it. But he's they've kept going with him. But yeah, for me, I would have probably pulled the trigger by now.
Cool. Dan, Gary O'Neill in all right?
On the 87th minute of the Brighton match, I was a Gary O'Neill out. I was like, nah, this is ridiculous. And then the players are playing for him when they do play. And I think that, yeah, a lot of it's to do with mentality. Some of it's to do with tactics, like the insistence on playing Wang and Sarabia. I don't understand when they're not playing well, why keep playing them. I don't understand that. But all this talk about David Moyes is doing my absolute head in. I hate David Moyes. I don't want anywhere near the club. And also in that case, I would say, unless somebody better, like John said, I'd keep him unless somebody better is coming in.
Okay, cool. I was Gary O'Neill out after Brentford. I thought that was inexcusable. To concede as easy as we did some of those goals. Yes, okay, you can look at the defenders, you can look at the players, but just because of the fact that, come on, man, like, you have to be responsible for how these players are playing sometimes. If it's a consistent thing, and yeah, I was Gary O'Neill out then, and then like we get a point at Brighton. I'm still not convinced. I thought we were the worst team throughout until the 80th minute, like you said. So I'm still Gary O'Neill out then. We then get a point against Palace, and I just thought that we were naive. He made some good substitutions, sure, but there's just the general play at the moment. There's just no, like, it looks like sometimes the team gels really well. But then it looks like sometimes they kind of go on autopilot, and it kind of feels like they're not really doing what the manager's asking. And for me, like, it just comes across a bit naive. Most games now, when I watch Wolves, they just look very naive and unsure. And you can't have that style of play. You can't be a team that looks shaky and naive every single game, especially against opponents that have just come up. Do you know what I mean? These are the teams where we should be beating comfortably, and you could argue that in the 90th minute, you probably do say we beat them comfortably, but it didn't feel comfortable in that first half. And if that's what we're going to be like against Fulham, mate, they're gonna kill us. Because they look good. Fulham look really good, and they've got a good manager. They've got a good way of playing. They've made some really, really good signings. I mean, Smith Rowe for them at the moment looks awesome. You know, Raul's starting to score like crazy. Yeah, they just look like a good team, and that's definitely not a team that I wanted to play at this given stage. Staying with Bournemouth, really, to be honest, straight after. So, yeah, I agree with. Sorry, John.
I think at the moment, which I haven't really seen previously under Wolves, but they seem really vulnerable when they go one goal down. Under Nuno, you knew, it's only one goal down. Nuno will get behind him at half time, and they'll come out and get another goal. Do you know what I mean? You was always in it with Nuno, but now if they let a goal down, they let a goal in, the faces are down, their heads are down, and they're just so vulnerable and so emotional. And you saw that when Lamina was crying on the pitch a few weeks back. And I just don't think you can be like that as a team. Not in the Premier League.
No.
You've got to back yourself. You've got to lift yourself up. There needs to be more leaders, especially with the younger players. But yeah, you've got to. Definitely, and then I think that's on the manager.
Yeah. Sutty's here. He says, "Evening, boys. Hope you're all doing well." I'm just going through the comments now, guys. The problem is with this stream in particular is we had a lot to cover, and if I was just going to pull up comments every 5 minutes, man, we'd never have got through this. So, fair play, lads, going through all those games as quick as we've done. We've done a really, really good job there. I'm just going to quickly go through the comments. John, did you say you had some questions?
I put them in the actually get him, but if you can get to the
All right,
chat, I've just put him in there in one post.
Cool. Let me see. All right, cool. So someone said, why do we never use wingers like Forbes, Rodrigo Gomez, Guedes, and Huang never got used before he got injured? John, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, I think what it is at the start of the season when we're playing a back four, they weren't allowed to have that free role where they could go up the pitch, because obviously in a back four, they had to help protect the two centre backs, and I think that left a lot of space up on the wide areas of the pitch. And because we were playing more midfielders, he was kept them playing free, or sometimes even more than that, and obviously he was playing forwards that were like Larson and Cunha that don't really go out too wide. There was obviously opportunity there in the pitch where there was empty spaces where we could have played someone. So yeah, I think that's just not his style, Gary O'Neill. And I think if we look back when we were playing under Nuno, we thrived playing with wingers. We could obviously fill those spaces on the pitch. We could get the ball into the strikers. We could offer more service. I don't think maybe scoring more goals is something that we need to concentrate on, because I think we are scoring enough. But I do think the person saying, because obviously we've bought these players, we haven't. It's not like they were cheap. We paid, what was it, 12, 13 million, was it, for Rodrigo Gomez? Hasn't a sniff, has he? No. Do you know what I mean? Like, why buy a winger if you're not really going to play wingers? So yeah, it is a good question. Maybe they bought him because they think Semedo maybe won't be around much longer because of his contract. Maybe in January he goes. Maybe they see him as more of as a fullback or a wing back kind of option. We know he did that in his previous club. Maybe they're just protecting him. Same with Lima. We haven't seen much of Lima, have we? And obviously he's not a winger, but he's obviously that attacking kind of player that can get those wide areas. So yeah, it's definitely a good question, and it just makes you wonder why we have used that money to buy a centre back. Same with as well, 10 million. If Sar's just going to be number one, could we have spent that 10 million on?
That was a waste of money, wasn't it? That was definitely a waste of money. You could argue that he's made Sar better, maybe. Maybe he's given him a little bit more of a push. I know that an insider said to me that I can say all this now because he's not in the club anymore, but he did say to me that Sar was underperforming in training, kind of refusing to do the drills that would have allowed him to sort of transition more into a sweeper keeper, which is what Gary's been seriously wanting for the day dot, basically. And I think that's why the club sort of bought into getting another keeper just in case Sar was to leave. So it was more of a sort of damage limitation, I think. And I don't think he's an awful second goalkeeper, to be fair. I think it's kind of made it so King and what's his name? The other guy. I can't remember his name. Yeah. Kind of made it so that those guys can sort of find other clubs, hasn't it, really? Which, might give us a little bit more leeway in the window. So it might be something that helps in January. We'll see what happens with Sar. But yeah, where does Andre fit in when we have Lamina and Gomez? And probably the same for Doyle, really, because I find them very similar in play, as players, really. Say again, John. Sorry.
Want me to answer that? Or yeah, I'll answer it. For me, Andre's a great player, and when you think about when he came in and all the praise he was getting from the fans, he's definitely that kind of midfielder that can sit in front of the back four and help him, or in this case, the back three. But I think obviously whatever's happened in the last few games, he dropped off a little bit. He had a couple of stinker performances, and I think Gary obviously hasn't seen him perform better in training. So there's definitely something going on behind the scenes there. There is arguments as well that he came back from international duty and he was tired or something last time there was a break. And I suppose he is going away again. I think he's one of the only. There's not many players actually going away, believe it or not, from Wolves internationally, and he is actually been called up. Gomez hasn't been called up for Brazil, but Andre has. So he's obviously going to be probably flying out as we speak, and he's going to be knackered. So I don't know if maybe they thought, well, if he's going out there, do we need to? He may pick up an injury or something. Are they resting him because of that? But yeah, definitely something weird about that, because I do think he's one of our better midfielders. But I do think with Lamina being captain, that probably has something to do with it. Obviously,
similar to the Kilman situation, isn't it? Really, with captaincy sort of taking over and not being able to replace them due to upsetting them, and it's just a bit stupid, really. I think that like no one's irreplaceable. You play your best players, and that's all there is to it.
We haven't even seen him really come on as a sub. What a great midfielder to bring on as a sub, even if you don't start him, to change up a game when maybe, for example, against like Crystal Palace, like maybe we could have done with someone like that just to help shore up the defence. I know he brought on Lamina, but obviously there's different options there. And yeah, it's definitely a strange one. It just makes me wonder if anything's happened behind the scenes. If maybe his stats aren't good, maybe he's picked up a knock, something like that we don't really know about.
Yeah, just got a Facebook a comment from Facebook, probably quite a bit ago. To be fair, sorry guys, I'm only just going through the comments now. I said earlier that apparently the StreamYard is what we use to stream, and they have got a bit of a bug at the moment where we can't see the Facebook names. So I apologise, whoever this is, but they say be realistic. Do you think we have enough to stay up? Do we have enough to stay up? Do you think so, Dan?
Yeah, I do. I'm an optimist, but looking at the players that we've got, we're too good to go down, I think, personally. But I know results haven't showed that, and it's worrying, but I can't see us going down. But
actually more than we think in the kitty for January if we're in a lower position of the table still. I think due to us having so many players in the summer and obviously making a bit of money, I think Fosun will allow us to maybe make 2 or maybe even 3 signings, because I think players will leave, but I think that will benefit us because I think the players that will leave will maybe be the kind of players that are on high wages or aren't really performing. Like, for example, I could probably see Sarabia leaving in January, so maybe they get a little fee for him, so he doesn't leave on a free. And I think that will maybe give us the opportunity to bring in a winger, and I think there might be a nice budget for that. I think maybe we might be able to get someone in. I think we're definitely going to go for a centre-back. And you're telling me, looking at Wolves now, if we got someone in, for example, we were linked highly to Webster from Brighton, someone like that, Premier League experience, tighten up the defence. We're already scoring goals. We've got a great midfield. Jose Sarr's doing okay in goal. I do feel like we're 1 or 2 players away from having a much better squad, in my opinion. So yeah, I think we've got enough. But what is worrying is I think there's teams like Ipswich, for example, that are looking a bit better now. I know Southampton are still looking crap. I don't think Leicester are that good, but I think Ipswich are starting to pull away. But I do think to counter that, teams like Everton are looking a little bit worse. I think Everton will go back to normal Everton, the normal ways, and start playing crap again. I've just got that feeling about them. But yeah, hopefully Everton and Palace just don't pick up any form for the next few months.
Yeah. Someone also on Facebook says, do you think Fulham pose a threat to us away from home?
Yes.
They've got quite a good midfield. They're actually defending well. The only thing I would say, and it doesn't even really make sense if you look at the way they're playing, but I just think Wolves always seem to turn up against Fulham.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been that many examples where they've really turned us over. I just think it's one of those teams where, like Brighton, for example, Brighton will go and smash loads of teams away. They smash City, but yet when we play them, a lot of the time it's a real close game. Do you know what I mean? So I just think it's one of those combination of 2 teams when they play each other. Don't matter if one team's flying, the other one's not doing that well. When we play each other, we just seem to do okay. Say this, we'll probably lose 5-0 now, but
like Brentford all over again.
Yeah, literally. I think that's the reason why you said we thought that we were going to do all right against Brentford, because normally we play all right against Brentford. But yeah, I've just got a feeling that the only thing I would say, Traore or Ryle are going to score.
Yeah.
It's just written in the stars, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So people are saying in the comments a little bit earlier that obviously this isn't going to really please Dan Cottingham, but people are saying they'd rather have Moyes in now. I know that that's someone that people have been saying. Obviously, he's looking for a job and everything. I just want to talk about personally what I feel about that. Everyone's got their own opinion. Dan's obviously strongly, against the idea of having Moyes, which is absolutely fair, but personally, for me, it depends. It depends on how we if we start getting results. Like if we start getting results and looking like a team that's still scoring loads of goals and then I think keeping Gary O'Neill is probably a better option because he seems to be a little bit more of a more exciting. He seems to have more of an exciting way about how he wants the teams to play, regardless of how we have been playing. People said on a stream the other day, I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but they were saying that Gary has no plan, basically. He has no sort of what they call it. What's the word? Strategy, I guess. Yeah, we'll go for that name. They say that he's got no strategy. Gary's been very open on how he has his teams play. He has his teams play higher up the pitch. He wins the ball up high, and in a transition, scores goals from people running at the team. And we saw the exact same thing happen 2 minutes in against Southampton. That is a Gary O'Neill style goal. We saw it so many times in the preseason. It's just the players just haven't been fit enough to play the way that Gary wants to play. A lot of the way that Gary O'Neill wants us to play is going on runners, and a lot of them look dead before half times, even the halftime whistles even called. He even came out and said that some of the things that they've been training and some of the ways that he wanted them to play hasn't worked. That's why he's gone back to a back five. Like, this is all very new territory for Gary now with the back five. It's obviously not something he wants to do. It's something he's had his hands forced to do. But he's obviously seen the players improve in a back five. So now it's just about him sort of finding a more balanced way, I suppose, going forward. So sort of keeping his style of play, but also going to more of a defensive back five that, hit on counters and what have you. Philosophy, thank you. Someone said philosophy. That is exactly the word I was looking for. Sorry. Yeah, so I just think that when people say that he's got no philosophy, that is stupid, guys. Look at last season. The guy is obviously a very good manager. It's just at the moment when things aren't going so right and we are very much facing a relegation battle, that is probably not Gary's strong suit for me. When his back's against the wall and the team's not exactly playing in the way he wants to play, it's not the way. It's not for him. That's why Moyes, in my opinion, would be a better option, because Moyes has a lot more sort of. He just has a lot. He's got a lot more know-how in terms of trying to get teams to be a little bit more solid and a little bit more basic. You know what I mean? If we got a little bit more basic, just to keep us afloat, and then got a more exciting manager in, when Moyes inevitably leaves for another club in London, for me that's a more sensible option. But it honestly, genuinely comes down to the next few matches. Wolves will have their hand forced if he doesn't win against the likes of Leicester, for example, or teams that are around us. If we get obliterated by teams like we did against like Brentford, that's the style. That they're the games really where we need to get something from them. So I am, in a long-winded answer, Gary O'Neill in, but Moyes definitely wouldn't be a bad option. Had we have it depends on how we get on. Basically, I'm judging on the rest of the season essentially. Not to a point where he's got like one. He basically has Julian Lopetegui's thing where he just saved us and then buggered off. Do you know what I mean? And that's my opinion. Do you know what I mean? That's how I personally see. That's how I personally see it. What would you say to Moyes, John? I know that Dan's already said that definitely wouldn't want Moyes in, but it'll be interesting to see your point of view.
I quite like him. I think he would definitely sort out our defence. I don't think it's the most attractive kind of football. I think that a lot of fans will be annoyed, but I do generally think I could live with that. I think he will get more wins. I think if you look at obviously what he's done previously in his career, he is a good manager. I do think he's an improvement on Gary, and I would definitely be happy to have him.
And what would you say to people saying that Gary's got no philosophy or identity?
I think he has got a philosophy and identity, but I just think that he was a little bit let down in the transfer window for him to actually fulfil that strategy. I think that he would have wanted more centre backs. He mentioned that he wanted another left back. I don't know if that's because maybe he wanted to play at Norway maybe as a winger or something like that, and he wanted more of a solid left back in for when we played a back four. In a back four, there were times when Norway wasn't good enough, so you could obviously understand why he said that. So I think maybe if he was backed the way he wanted to be backed, I think maybe his strategy would have worked a lot better. He obviously spent a lot of time in the summer working on that in pre-season and stuff, and so yeah, I do think them saying that they obviously have got a short memory, because obviously we saw that philosophy last year. Everyone loved him last year. Up to January, we were trying to get European spaces. So yeah.
Yeah, Dan, I haven't asked you that same question actually, and then we'll come to Carl's question. What do you personally think about people slating Gary on not having a philosophy or identity?
I think it's people have got very short memories. Do they not remember when he was on Sky Sports explaining his philosophy and his and we were all going, wow, he's not a PE teacher, he's really, really good.
Yeah.
I think people have got very short memories and they choose to believe whatever suits them. So if they want to moan about why we're losing, they'll say that he's a PE teacher. They'll say that he's got no philosophy. They'll do this, they'll do that. It's just doesn't make it true. So I think he has got all these things. I think a lot of the issues are with mentality at the moment. Whether that's maybe the players haven't got the trust in him, or maybe I don't know what it is. A bad run of matches, he's going to knock the confidence out of players. They're going to struggle. I think he's got the tools, but whether or not it's too late, I don't know. But he definitely has got the things, and he'll go on to be a very good manager as he matures. But to say that isn't right, I don't think.
I think that if we'd have started the season well, and the results went the way they did when we were ahead, and we defended better, people would have thought a different story over on Gary O'Neill. But because we've looked good in an attacking sense, it's just we haven't defended. We just haven't defended well enough. I'm very much still I'm still very much Gary O'Neill out, to be honest. If I'm being genuinely honest, and it's only because, like I just said, I don't think he's one of these managers that's good under pressure. I know he says he is and he thrives on it and all this shit, but I really genuinely don't think he is. I honestly think he buckles under pressure, and that might be just the fact that it's his second club. Do you know what I mean? He's very new at this, and for me, we just need someone now with a lot more just a lot more emphasis on keeping solid and just grinding out results. And for me, I feel like it's only a matter of time before that becomes into fruition. Personally, so I am Gary out, but I do want to see obviously how we bear after getting a win, because we haven't had any momentum this season at all. We've had no momentum whatsoever. So, you know, we're unbeaten in 3. If you look at our form now, you know, that's an improvement. So we'll just see. We just have to see. He needs to definitely get playing better, and definitely we need to see some fitness improvements as well, because they don't look fit, and that's a worry for me. But yeah, what Carl says, he says, do you think we will see any of the players on the bench getting more game time? John, what do you think about that?
Opposition, him playing Carlos Forbes, I think he's pacing everything. I think in certain games, I think we'll see him come on. I think obviously with the midfielders, I think we can't keep on playing the same midfielders. Obviously, we've got 4 really good midfielders, so we'll swap that around. With Sasa, because there's rumours that he's back in training. He's not that far away. I don't know if maybe he'd be like an impact sub that'll come on, but I know he does quite like to bring Larson off and bring Guedes on. I think out of all of them, I think Guedes is the player that I think we need to see more on the pitch. If I think of our front 3 that we're playing now, we've got Cunha and Larson. That they've obviously they're our main 2. We just need a third player to come in and cement that spot. And for me, on paper, Guedes is that player that should really be cementing. He's got the experience. He's got. You think about all the goals he scored for Valencia, Portuguese international. He obviously used to be regularly in the Portuguese squad. I would be, because he can play coming off the right as almost like a right winger. That is mainly what he did for most of his career. So I would be looking at playing him more, because I do think when you think about the assist he got for Gomez's goal, like there is a really good player there, and we saw that in the cup when we did actually start him. He got 2 goals. I know it was obviously a championship side, but Burnley did have some good players still, and he was, he still is a great player. So I think that's a player that I'd like to see more.
Yeah, I've actually got to the bottom of the comments now, guys. I'd obviously put a lot more in, but we'd run out of time if I had to go through all of them. You've all been making some really, really good points. Just before we obviously finish, we've got Fulham in the next game. We won't be doing another. We would actually be doing our next. We'll actually be doing our next one. Our next podcast will actually be just before the Fulham game. So, will it be just after Fulham actually? So just be after Fulham, wouldn't it, on the Monday? So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you guys think about this, because they are flying. To be fair, Fulham are. They're doing really, really well. I'll just double check their form real quick. So they beat Palace, they beat Brentford, and they drew to Everton. They lost to Villa and they lost to City. So they've won and drawn the games that they'd probably be expected to, and they've lost the 2 that they probably should be losing. They're 7th in the table, and they're doing really well. Jimenez has 4 goals and 2 assists. Robinson's looking good on that one side. Their midfield's really good as well. I like this. I like this midfield that they've got going on, especially when what's that guy that keeps scoring every time? What's that guy's name in Fulham? Oh, it's going to annoy me. He's been scoring like for fun.
He won't be.
Nah.
He might be.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah, he's been scoring for fun, isn't he, Wilson?
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those things at the moment. Like they seem to have luck on their side. Harry Wilson, thanks, Carl. Thanks for that, mate. Neil says good show, folks. Thanks very much, man. Glad to see you guys back, says North. It's really good to be back. yeah, all the views are absolutely fine. Timeouts will not happen unless there is some form of hate speech or racism. I'm not. Anything about football goes, man. I'm not gonna get rid of people's comments when they're talking about football. End of the day, that's the podcast. Yes, you want to talk about shoes and boys? Just joking. Fulham guys, what we saying? John,
As I say before, I think it's a team on paper that we usually do all right against, even with their good run of form. They are a team that can be beaten. We saw that. I think they played Villa, and Villa weren't that great, and they still got something out of the game. I do think it's one of those games that I know. People will hate me to say it, but we could potentially play like a third person in midfield, because they obviously play Smith Rowe as more like a 10 position, so we could do something similar like that and match them. But I do think at the moment, going into the international break, we've got obviously Totti, Dawson that are still staying. Obviously, we've got some players there that can. Joe Gomez. When was the last time we had Joe Gomez back in training over international break? They can work on different strategies and stuff. I think a lot of players will be able to get a lot more rest. I think we can go into this Fulham game with 3 points from our previous game and really be on a high. So yeah, I think it's got a draw written all over it. I think something like a 2-2. I think we're scoring at the moment. They're scoring. They let a few goals in. We let a few goals. I reckon 2-2 for me. I think we can get a draw out of this.
it'd be a decent point. That, to be fair, I still think we need to strive for getting 3 points. If we look like we've put them to the sword and forced a point out of them, then I think that's a good point. But if it's one of those where we're ahead for a good while and they score last minute, like fucking always, then I'm sorry, like he's got to go at that point. That would just, I'm sorry, I can't be dealing with that every single game. My hairline is shit as it is. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to lose any more fucking hair. Do you know what I'm saying? So Dan, Fulham, Wolves, what we saying?
As you know, Dan, I will never predict Wolves to do anything other than win. So we're scoring goals. We won't keep a clean sheet because Raul's got to score 100%. And then he won't celebrate because he's a class act, so he won't. That'll be okay. 2-1 Wolves, I say.
Yeah. 2-1 Wolves.
2-1.
I'm really struggling with this because we get a win. You know, there's a good 2 weeks for some players to get fit. A lot of them aren't going into internationals, so they've got a lot of training in them. We could easily win this game, but we could easily get absolutely battered. This game to me screams Brentford. It's a very similar style of football they play. Really, really aggressive Fulham, and Wolves don't handle that at all. Wolves do not handle aggression at all. Someone said, "How do we handle Traore?" And in my honest opinion, we don't have a player in our team that could keep up with him. So I actually don't know.
Just leave him. Let him just run down the wing, go out and play. That's all you got to do. You got to score a goal.
You don't know that, man. You do not know that. He'll cross it into Raul, and it'll be prime Raul. You know, Adama. No, that's what it will be. 100%. I can see it now. I'm gonna go for 1-0 Wolves. And I think that it's going to be really tight because I feel like we defended really well in the last game. And I think that's going to be the emphasis, you know. But I feel like we'll see a bit of magic from Cunha. I think Cunha will score and it'll be 1-0. That'll be my heart. My head says we're going to get comfortably beaten, probably 2-0, 3-0, something like that. My heart says we will win 1-0. And that's it. So, yeah. I'm just thinking, actually, what happens if we do win this game?
Get 3 points normally.
Oh yeah, well, I was like bloody waiting for that. But I mean, like, say we get 3 points. You know, Palace are against Villa. That's going to be a hard game. Ipswich have got a new United side. Everton have got Brentford, 7, 8, 9. Literally, we could win this game, get 9 points, and get out of relegation. That's pretty huge, to be fair. You know what I mean?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be very
It'd
nice.
be amazing.
But knowing our luck, Liverpool will lose to Southampton. You can just see it, can't you? You could just absolutely see it happening, man. I mean, Ipswich already got the win over bloody Tottenham, so anything's possible at this point. But yeah, North says if we win, kiss my wife. You want us to kiss your wife, or you're going to kiss your own wife? Because I've got a wife now.
Me
so
too.
I'm out. John will kiss your wife.
Me and Dan would do that.
No,
Dan see. Oh no.
Nah. Definitely not now.
Clip that.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
What's your language, sir?
Oh, I don't care.
Keep it PG. Come on. Get complaints last time.
I don't care. I never said that this was going to be a PG channel, and I wasn't before I joined. I remember Matt swearing like a sailor. So you know what? And for your listeners, I just put some fingers up, some inappropriate ones. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure. We are found over on social media at Wolfpack WWFC. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, do all the things you normally do. Thinking about making a TikTok actually, because I've actually got a TikTok now. Been looking at mainly conspiracy theories, but you know what? If I fancy doing some TikToks on Wolves, maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe you could. Maybe. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Really appreciate everyone being here, considering it's been a while, obviously, since we did one of these. Yeah, I think we'll probably be back next time for the preview, John, for Fulham.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll probably be the next video that comes up if nothing news happens, I'm guessing. So we'll see you for that preview. We'll probably do a watch along as well, and then the all important review after Wolves get another 3 points and go 4 unbeaten.
Come on, Wolves.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys. See you all.
Cheers, guys.
Stay safe. Love you lots. See you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.